relationship?
On and off for about 8 years.
Who messed it up?
Nobody, I played football for a couple of years, and I think that I went through a period of time where it was kind of a downslope.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You already know what time it is. Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you lean? Listen, let's get into the video. We're going to give you guys a video on Ready to Love. Little Black Book, you know what time it is. Listen, we're going to be talking to you guys about London Devyne going forward. Listen, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. For those who are returnees, make sure you ain't got the minerals, baby. Listen, agege, are you mad? Are you mad? Are you lean? If you can't handle the chile. If you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out. Chile. If you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out. Don't make yourself a boy error. You understand? Listen, let's get into the video. We're talking about London and Devyne. So, I think what was interesting for me, just watching it from the very beginning, was seeing how, Devyne actually introduced London, which was Bay.
This is Bay, a.k.a. London.
We already on some Bay terms. I like that.
And my first thought was, no, he's not Bay. No, he's not Bay. He can't be Bay when you've claimed him, but he hasn't fully claimed you. Now, I know that he said in the house that, if you ride into the sunset, it'll be him. But he never really fully stamped his authority on it being you and him. He still had his foot in Alexis. So how you were claiming Bay was a bit too much, Devyne, yeah? And it's that behavior that gets us into trouble, yeah? Like, that hasn't been established yet. And so when you call man Bay, you're putting a pressure on him, and you're calling it a title when it hasn't been addressed. I've always said this, it's more likely it should be a man to be putting a title on things just because of the way men are. Yeah? When women put a title on it before it's actually time, you got problems. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, that was my first kind of thought. My second thing was obviously that I watched him as he hugged her, and he made a comment which was a bit sexual, a bit naughty.
You tell me.
You?
Yeah. Okay. That zipper must be lucky.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, so man's dropping a few bars and a few things here and there. It's not the first time I've heard him drop something a bit naughty before. So that's something that's normal to him. And when he took a seat, obviously, as well, wearing a nice blue t-shirt as well, looking just pressed, looking clean, looking calm, and just looking in good shape. And obviously, when they did take it to the dinner table, I think what was interesting for me was actually watching his body language. So, I mean, when he sat down, the first kind of thing that he did was actually, it looked like he had his both arms locked onto the chair. And I felt like he was, maybe not, I wouldn't say he was trying to be calm. It was more of a case of he might not have been so calm. Okay, he might not have been so calm. That's what I'm saying. He might not have been at a place where he was comfortable and at ease. Yeah, maybe because he's anticipating questions, maybe because he's anticipating difficult questions which he hasn't prepared for, he says.
That's something that I was not prepared for today to fully discuss.
Off in the sunset with, who is that going to be?
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, hold on. I wasn't prepared to truly answer this question today. You already know you my ride or die.
Yeah, every time he gets into these situations, he says he hasn't prepared for it. I don't understand how you're not prepared for it. Like, you should know this is coming. Like, do you know what I mean? I think for me, just watching it, I saw that obviously when the girls did then eventually begin to start the question, when they both asked the question at the same time, and then what did he do? He came and leaned forward, right? Because he was no longer comfortable sitting back. He decided to come forward, put his elbows on the table, and actually then start to answer their questions. It wasn't an attack. It was more of a case of just getting yourself into a position where you can potentially answer the questions properly, yeah? It didn't look good if you're leaning back and answering questions. It looks like you're too laid back. I don't think that's how you felt, laid back. I think he felt like he doesn't, like I said, every time there's difficult questions.
Give me a little something. They put me on the hot seat.
I'm sharing strawberries and we're having these intimate moments.
Man, that's good water.
Huh?
I'm a little parched. I'm just trying to drink some of this lemonade, that's all.
He's either sipping water, if it's difficult questions, either sipping water, or he normally is, saying, something like that. Do you know what I mean? As a way to kind of deflect from the actual question, right? Especially if it's a difficult one. He did it when him and Devyne were having a one-on-one. He did it with Alexis. He's also now done it with Devyne at his dinner table. So it's a normal behavior for him when there are difficult questions being asked, for him to, I guess, deflect a little bit just to gather his thoughts maybe and get himself in a position where he can actually answer those questions appropriately.
Your longest relationship.
On and off for about 8 years.
Who messed it up?
Nobody, I played football for a couple of years, and I think that I went through a period of time where it was kind of a down slope.
It was interesting as well with the honesty that he brought forth to the table in regards to why, what happened to his last relationship. And I believe he was being quite frank and being quite open in mentioning the fact that, his mindset wasn't there yet. And I think he mentioned as well that he wasn't even at the time ready to admit that, but now he can see the better of his mistakes. And I think that was a genuine spout of honesty. And, he was... That came off his tongue so easily that we knew it wasn't a lie. It's more of a case of there's a understanding, there is a maturity that's come into that area of thinking now, and he's able to review the information gone past and actually give a proper, I guess, definition or understanding of what actually happened. So yeah, that was quite interesting to see, and see how the growth for him and in terms of what he learned from the last relationship definitely was being honest though, because I think when you see his eyes, when you see the way that he's leaning forward, you see the way that he's answering the question and that he's not struggling to answer it, that should let you know, especially when the guy doesn't prepare for answers that questions that come his way apparently, that he's telling the truth in that regard. As well, one thing that kind of came out to me was something that I heard a pastor preaching about the other day. It was very, 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 very prominent and very much needed. He said, you know what? You've got to manage your valleys well. And you're talking about God and saying about how, when he feels at the very top of the mountain, when he comes back down, he feels a little bit, a bit shock-a-dock. And what was so interesting about that is that it's absolutely true. For those of us who really love God especially, or even in the heights of your sport or career or job, you may feel the heights and the peaks of your job and the great things that you're doing and the adulation that you're receiving from that. And then when you come home, you feel like it's a valley, it's a peak. And the pastor was saying, like, how do you manage those valleys? Now, I'm one of those persons as well who's also been in a position where I felt like I was coming back to a relationship and the fire's just not really there. Do you know what I'm saying? For God like that. Do you know what I mean? But, it made me now think about things. Am I managing my valley and am I bringing that person up to where I am? Does that person want to come up? That's a question as well. But, it was such an interesting way that he took it, and I started to realize, you know what? That's such a great thing. Many of us are aspiring for great things. Are we managing our valleys well? Are we managing that correctly? Are we taking control and stock of that? Are we actually, being stewards of that valley and say, look, hey, I know when I come home it's not the same, but how do I manage this place? How do I actually go about dealing with this? What he was saying was that, previously, when he's coming home, it wasn't the same, right? That's what he's basically saying. London, that something wasn't quite right. The feats of football are great, but then you come back to a relationship, it's not great. So, managing your valley is so important. So, never think you're too high or too mighty. There is a way to manage the valley that you're in, or and that person that you're with shouldn't be in the valley anyway. They shouldn't be a part of your valley. They should be part of your peaks, which means that we are not doing something correctly as a team.
You got a little something on your lip there.
Oh, it might be chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be.
It was interesting as well. There was a scene where Devyne actually touched up his face. There was a bit of, I think, chocolate on his face or whatever. She touched it up. Again, very caring, very endearing. That cute relationship stuff that she's doing, all before its time. Like, she even bought him a birthday present the last few months, and it's like, this is a guy who's not fully committing to you. He's giving you something, but it's not committing to you. And what this whole show actually shows me is what we do in real life, which is that people commit before they've been committed to. And what I mean committed to in the sense of before they've seen real commitment from another person, or before they even see, they're not matching the energy. We're doing a lot, do you know what I mean? And it's a risk. And you have to ask yourself if you're willing to take that risk all the time. So yeah, for me, it was an interesting thing to watch that. And I think to myself, how it comes, I guess obviously the way it's hard to say to do something or not to do something, in a sense of, if we all match each other's energy, maybe nobody will go anywhere. But I think with Devyne and London, obviously Devyne's done a little bit already with the birthday, and then obviously now, you know, just that I see her just the bathing, and now the touching of his face when there was a bit of food on there, just being very caring, being lovely, being that wifey almost behaviour. But she's not. Is she gonna get that title? That's the question, and that makes us think about it as well. Am I doing too much when I'm kind of seeing somebody when they haven't allowed me to do that? Do you know what I mean? Or haven't given me a platform to do that? Am I doing too much? We need to ask ourselves always the time. Do you know what I mean? Then there was a question that was obviously asked of him, which is, you know, about whether he would choose Devyne or Alexis. And also as well, there was a question about the fact that could he see himself with both people? And he said, yeah, quite honestly, he could. You know, and I appreciate the honesty there. He wasn't as honest, right honest in terms of Alexis, but he was honest enough. But I think what was interesting about that was the fact that when they did ask him about the question that was asked at his house. Now, the first mistake that London made was answering that question in the first place. If you're not ready to commit, don't answer that question. When they asked you, would you ride into the sunset? She said, look, do you know what? I would love to ride into the sunset, do you know what I mean? But I am keeping my options open. And just being very honest about it, do you know what I mean? Now, the dating game is this, that's truthful. Nobody wants to be second guessed. Nobody wants to be second best. It's the point. And like I said, you don't have to be. That's why we admit certain information, because the truthfulness of it is you might be seeing 3 people at the same time. But admitting that somebody's saying that I am just checking out 3 people, me, I'm just going to be like, checking out 3 people? I ain't even going to lie to you because I'm not really on it. I'm going to throw in a towel like Reva. Reason being, I don't need to fight over this. People that want you. There's going to be a mutual attraction with somebody, so I don't need to fight for your affection like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kiddie stuff. We need to be going for people that actually want us as well. Do you know what I mean? Who actually have a genuine interest in you as well. Why go for somebody you have to keep on fighting for? You'll end up fighting for the rest of your life. And then in the end, I'll probably end up losing them anyway. So that was quite a thing.
If you had to choose today, who would it be?
I can't answer that question.
You answered it on your birthday, though.
No, I didn't.
In my house, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
If they say, okay, London, pick one person you want to ride off in the sunset with, who is that going to be?
Of course it would be you.
And then obviously they kind of caught him out a little bit when he said obviously the question was never asked. And I think there was a slight miscommunication because the question was asked, but I don't think he was saying that Devyne never asked him. I think he was saying that the way he answered it was the question that came about was slightly different. You know what I mean? Okay, I can't defend that. I'm lying. Yeah, he lied. And he got caught out. And that's the simple truth it is. And this is the reason why you don't have to say things you don't mean. This is why if you be truthful, these things are they're gonna less get into trouble. Because at the end of the day, when you say things, your words have power. You know, the Bible says that, you'll be judged or acquitted by your words. Reason being, because your words are going to hold gravity. They are going to tell us what you are or what you're not. Your words, is that what the testimony, your word of your testimony is used in court? Is it not? Your witness statement is words. It's what you saw, but what you said that you saw. You know what I mean? So it's important how words can play such a huge importance in determining what someone's saying. I often listen to what people are saying beyond what they're saying. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm busy. That basically means you ain't got time for me. Not just busy, fam, you're not prioritizing me, and that's okay. I don't need to prioritize you. Do you get me? Yeah. Alright guys, yeah, that's my little video on Ready to Love for London and Devyne. Let us know your thoughts down below. Let us know what you thought about the couple in the comment section below. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. Appreciate y'all.